What is going on, guys? It's your boy Killer Cam with my WrestleMania 10 review. 10 years in the making. And what a show this was. March 20th, 1994. 18,065 tune in to Madison Square Garden to watch WrestleMania 10. This was a hell of a show. This was one of the greatest WrestleManias and is one of the greatest WrestleManias of all time, with two of the greatest matches of all time. But was the rest of the show any good? So the dark match of the night was the Heavenly Bodies against the Bushwhackers, a match that I'm glad I did not get to see. Show opens up with a WrestleMania 1 recap. They show the main event of the first ever WrestleMania. Cool. Everything looks good. Gucci. They show the very first Mania. All that good juicy jazz going on. You then have the opening match of the night. Well, excuse me, Little Richard sings the national anthem. You have the opening match of the night, Owen Hart taking on his brother Bret. The way this set up, Survivor Series 1993, Owen Hart had turned his back on the Hart family. In a way, Owen was the only guy eliminated, so he turned his back on Bret. But then they reconciled, and at Royal Rumble 1994, they fought the Quebecers, and that was when Owen did the infamous speech. "You're too damn selfish, and that's why I kicked your leg out of your leg." And anyway, Bret will go on to win the Rumble that night, so this would be the first of two matches that he would have during the night. And Owen and Bret killed it. This match, their match at SummerSlam 94, these guys had tremendous chemistry to be brothers, and it was, to me, honestly the biggest win in Owen Hart's career. He would go on to beat his brother Bret, of all people, Bret the Hitman Hart. I mean, just let that sink in for a minute. He beat Bret the Hitman Hart, his own flesh and blood brother. He beat, and you gotta excuse me, I'm doing this in my car, so if you heard any music in the background, I just turned it off. But yeah, so he beat his own flesh and blood brother, and it was absolutely incredible. Bret Hart had that thing to where he ran into the turnbuckle. There's a great spot where Owen hits Bret with a sharpshooter. Finish of this match looks great, though. The finish of the match happens when Owen is on the turnbuckle, and it looks like Bret's gonna slam him, but Owen kind of ducks underneath it and pins him 1, 2, 3. That was an incredible match. One of the greatest matches in WrestleMania history. And to me, the greatest opening match in WrestleMania history, and I can go ahead and tell you this, the greatest opening match of any pay-per-view in WWE history. I don't know about any other company, but this is the greatest opening match to open up a pay-per-view in WrestleMania history. There's not much justice that you could say about this match. This is the perfect match to watch, the perfect match to just sit down and enjoy. Todd Pettengill interviews Owen Hart. Owen Hart is giddy after his big win. You get a WrestleMania 2 recap. You know how much I thought that show was shit. Bam Bigelow and Luna Vachon took on Doink and Dink in a mixed tag team match. Luna was a very underrated performer. So was Bam Bigelow. Bam would actually main event WrestleMania 11, which we're going to get to in the next episode. And God almighty, was that a piece of shit. But we'll get into that. Anyway, decent match. I really couldn't get into it because of what I had just seen with Bret and Owen. So the match, the grade might get hurt a little bit, but it was still a decent match. Bam pinned Doink. The way that it was supposed to work out was Bam was supposed to fight Doink, Luna was supposed to fight Dink, and Bam ended up pinning Doink in this match and won. So yeah, that was quite that. That was good too, though. You get a WrestleMania 3 recap. Y'all know how much I love that. Love that Mania. You have Randy Macho Man Savage in his final WrestleMania match ever. Is he facing a guy like Bret Hart? No. Is he facing a guy like Lex Luger? No. He's fighting Crush. Yes, he's fighting Crush. But it's an underrated WrestleMania match. The only thing I didn't understand about this Falls Count Anywhere match is this was unique, because this Falls Count Anywhere match, you had to pin your opponent and then you had to get back in the ring before 60 seconds. So they had to be out of the ring for a whole minute. And it really worked, in some cases, Crush would pin Savage, he would get back in the ring, Savage would come back with about 3 seconds left. The ending of the match was unique because Savage actually tied Crush up. I think it was like a little, it looked like flowers, so it looked like a little garden thing or a pot or something back there, and he tied him up, and Crush was not able to make it back to the ring. Crush was not able to thereby come back, and because he couldn't come back, he lost the match. Todd Pettengill interviews Bill Clinton. Yes, the president was there. No, he wasn't. It was somebody that looked alike, but yes. Was what it was. They show FanFest 94, then they show WrestleMania 4 recap. Talked about how much that Mania was. I've talked about that and what my feelings about that were. I've also said the next match of the night was the Women's Championship match. Alundra Blayze versus Leilani Kai. Leilani Kai was in the WrestleMania 1 match. I don't know when the last time before this that the title was defended. I believe it was Mania 2, I want to say. Mania 2 was Moolah and Fat Velvet McIntyre. I think it was Mania 2. So, long time since the women's title would be defended. Alundra Blayze looked strong here. This was her match, so obviously Alundra Blayze was going to win. WrestleMania 5 recap. Then you get a Ronda Shear, Burt Reynolds, and Shawn Michaels segment. It was good to know. Tag match. Throwaway tag match. Men on a Mission against the Quebecers. Men on a Mission win by countout. I was never a big Men on a Mission fan. I was never a big Mabel fan. I understand the appeal behind him. He's a big dude. I never understood why he won King of the Ring in 95. I was never a big fan of him, but I love the gimmicks that he did. Mabel, Viscera, Big Daddy V. I think my favorite one of his, honestly, was when he was the world's largest love machine, Viscera. And he had that theme where it was like, dun, 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 dun. Yeah, so that was funny. But anyway, WrestleMania 6, you get a recap. And real quick, before I talk about this, I saw another YouTuber bring this up. Everybody gives Bret Hart credit for wrestling 2 matches at WrestleMania. But what people forget is Yokozuna at damn 600 pounds also wrestled 2 WrestleMania matches. He's not talked about. He wrestled 2 high-quality opponents at WrestleMania, and he's not talked about. What the hell is that? Why is he not talked about? It's very, very underappreciated to me that he is not talked about like he needs to be. Yokozuna, one of the greatest talents of all time, is not talked about at WrestleMania. Why? Who the hell knows why? He's just not talked about as far as with this. But this first match with Luger wasn't all that good. It ended in a DQ after about 15 minutes. This match was boring to sit through. It was actually one of the dull points of this WrestleMania. I thought it was. I really did think that this was a very, very dull point, and it was a very rough outing. But I think Yoko was also saving up some of his energy for the main event. And the story here was whoever won this match was going to meet Bret Hart, regardless. Bret, even though he lost that match earlier in the night to Owen, was going to go into the main event, regardless. He was going to win. He was going to do whatever he could do to do his thing, and he did it. He won, and Yoko won by DQ. Mr. Perfect was the guest referee, and Luger shoved Perfect and then did his whole thing whenever he disqualified him. WrestleMania 7 recap. You get Earthquake defeating Adam Bomb in 32 seconds. Yeah, it's Earthquake and Atom Bomb. That shows you. How much does that tell you? But next up, we get to the match. Well, excuse me, we get Yokozuna interviewed in the WrestleMania 8 recap. We get to the match that redefined the WWF. You have the Intercontinental Champion, Razor Ramon, taking on the Intercontinental Champion, Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels vacated the Intercontinental title, said he had never lost it, so therefore he was still the IC champ. But Razor Ramon was also Intercontinental champ, so they decided to have a ladder match to crown the true champion. Now, I forget how it became a ladder match, but I guess it was to protect Shawn in the case that he did lose and he wouldn't wrestle for a while after this by his choice. But this match, you know, they'd had a ladder match before with Bret and Shawn, so this was not the first WWF ladder match, but this was the match that redefined the genre. And we have Money in the Bank ladder matches, TLCs, and this was the match that essentially started it all. You know, Razor Ramon wins. We've all seen the spot. Razor Ramon's at the top. Shawn falls off the ladder, gets his foot caught, and Razor Ramon just climbs up the ladder, and he's posing up at the top. We've all seen that. We all know that spot. We all know everything that happens in that spot. That was something that was crucial at this WrestleMania to know. Something that was very, very of note was him doing that whole spot with the IC title. But also, you know, Shawn Michaels had a spot to where, you know, he was on the turnbuckle and he came down and hit Razor with the ladder. You know, that's also a common spot that people see in this match. I've seen a lot of people say Shawn Michaels was wrestling the ladder in this match. Razor Ramon could go when he had to. Case in point, he had a great match with Bret at Royal Rumble 93. I think it was all about who his dance partner was. You know, if he had somebody that was working good with him, he was a great worker. But then he would also need to be relied upon other people. And that was the thing to me that I think ultimately killed Razor Ramon, was he was a consistent guy, but he wasn't the best guy. Like, he could be relied on, but he also would kind of struggle at times. You know, anyway, the match is 5 out of 5. There's no other grade that you can get this match. So the first match and this match were nice. It was supposed to be a 10-man tag on the show, but they would later have, words cannot do justice to that match. If you've never seen it, if you have never seen this match, go back and watch it. It's an absolute must-see, absolute banger. 10-man tag match was scrapped. They were supposed to have a 10-man tag on the show. They would end up having it weeks later after this, but evidently Razor and Shawn went too long, and it caused that match to be scrapped. Hey, that is what it is. WrestleMania 9 recap. I talked about that in the last episode. I don't want to get the fuck back into that. Excuse my language. I don't drop the F word, but you know how WrestleMania 9 makes me feel. That was a recap that they did. They did a Bret Hart and a Yokozuna video package. We get to the main event of the evening, and it is Bret Hart taking on Yokozuna. Yokozuna and Bret Hart in the main event of WrestleMania 10. Yes, so this match is good, but it's not, you know, I thought the Mania 9 match was a little bit better, and I said that in the last episode, but this one is slightly a little bit better to me, because, you know, Bret Hart here actually does get the title, and actually does get what he may or may not need. You know, I told you, Hogan took his shine, took his rub. You know, you saw my pros, you saw my cons. You know, Atom Bomb, Earthquake. Like I said, you know, it's one of those. It's one of these shows that is just great. That the content is great, everything about it is great. It's a great My final grade for this show is an A. I would say A+, but you know, it's it had its issues at times. You know, it had its moments where it wasn't that good. Then it had its moments where it blew you completely out of the water. You know, so with that, I think I would just have to give the WrestleMania an A. And me giving it an A is me being very, very generous, and me being, you know, me being honest. You know, it's a great WrestleMania. One of the best of all time. It's in my top 5 to at least top 10. 9 was shit. This one was good. Oh boy. I'm not looking forward to the next episode of this series. All I gotta say for the next episode of this series is Lawrence Taylor. Do I need to say anything else? No, I don't. And Bundy Taker. That's all I gotta say. Anyway, guys, hope y'all enjoyed the review. Your boy Killer Cam is out. Peace.